Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Tyree from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content we'll be covering will be in the world of sports in the NFL. If you guys haven't checked out episode 70, it is now available on our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our YouTube account, and our Apple Podcast account. That episode, I discussed my top 3 teams in the NFC Conference. I discussed is there a quarterback controversy in Dallas brewing between Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush. And I also discussed my MLB post-2022 postseason predictions and which teams will play in the World Series this year, which team will represent the American League and the National League in the World Series this year. So if you guys haven't checked out episode 70, is now available. Go ahead and watch it. Go ahead and listen to it when you guys get the chance if you haven't already. But the bonus content I will be having for you guys, I'll be covering 2 segments in one video. The first segment I will be discussing is which NFL quarterback will most likely be fired by week 8. Now, there's a lot of guys on the hot seat early. You could talk about Cliff Kingsbury for the Arizona Cardinals. You could talk about Nathaniel Hackett, who I've discussed he's not ready for the job with the Denver Broncos at the moment at the head coaching position. But the guy I think who's on the hot seat and will most likely be fired by week 8 in the next few weeks is Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule for the Carolina Panthers is definitely the most the one on the hot seat, I will say, at the head coaching position out of all 32 head coaches in the league right now. I believe he will be the one that will be fired by week 8. It's not looking great for the Carolina Panthers out there so far in the first 4 weeks of the NFL season. He's underachieved in his first 3 years with the Carolina Panthers after being with the organization since 2020. This is year 3 of his campaign in Carolina. After starting off 3-0 last year, the Carolina Panthers were off to a red-hot start. Looked like a promising 3-0 team at the start of the 2021 season last year, when Sam Darnold got his second chance of being a starter in the National Football League after being traded from the New York Jets to the Carolina Panthers. He got his shine on for the first 3 weeks of football, and everybody thought the Carolina Panthers were legit. And at the beginning of the season, they were 3-0, and then they fell off and finished the season at 5-12 after starting off 3-0. They are 1-3 to start off the season. It's a tale of a tape because last year around this time, they were 3-1. Their first loss coming against the Dallas Cowboys at this time of the year last year. They find themselves at 3-1 in the beginning of the 2022 season. And his coaching career, Matt Rhule's coaching career in the first 3 years in Carolina, he has a record of 11 wins and 26 losses in his first 3 years with the Carolina Panthers. And he's not great in divisional matchups as well. Obviously, you have the GOAT and Tom Brady playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He joined that franchise in 2020 when Matt Rhule got his stint as becoming the Carolina Panthers head coach. But the rest of the division hasn't been glitz and glamorous. It hasn't been pretty since he's been in the division. The Saints have been trying to figure out what's next after Drew Brees at the quarterback position. They're hanging on to Jameis Winston right now. And the Atlanta Falcons are currently in a rebuilding stage, trying to figure out what they're going to do at the quarterback positions. Currently going with veteran guy and Marcus Mariota. Well, Matt Rhule, there's only been one true contender in a division since he got there. And your divisional matchups playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, playing against the New Orleans Saints, playing against the Atlanta Falcons. You have a combined record in all those games playing against those 3 divisional foes. Your record is you have 4 wins and 9 losses of divisional play. Again, of course, for you guys watching and listening, you guys know that you play your divisional opponent twice a year. That's not a good start that's not a great stat for being in Carolina. For 3 years, being 11-26 as a head coach as your win-loss record, and then being 4-9 divisional play is not great. They're wasting talent on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. I will say that J.C. Horn, his second year in the league, he's looking like one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League this year. And his first 4 games, he has not allowed in his first 4 games of the season, he's not allowed a receiver to have 40 more yards receiving or more that he's guarding. Wasting talent on the defensive side of the ball, definitely wasting talent on the offensive side of the ball, highlighted by the fact that you traded for Baker Mayfield, the first overall pick in the 2018 draft. You got him for a half-open bag of potato chips. And you have him there. We're trying to see if he can revive his career. You're wasting it out there in Carolina. You have Baker Mayfield. You have Christian McCaffrey, who, when healthy, is one of the best running backs in the National Football League. You have DJ Moore at the wide receiver position. You have Robbie Anderson at the wide receiver position. You have Rashad Higgins at the wide receiver position. You have Terrence Marshall Jr. at the wide receiver position, second-year guy out of LSU. You're wasting talent on the offensive side of the ball. And then to make matters worse, you bring in Ben McAdoo as your offensive coordinator. My co-host Rob Sarasulo, as he is a New York Giants fan, he knows all about Ben McAdoo. He's not the guy that should have a play sheet in his hand on any given Sunday, Monday, or Thursday. Whenever the chance he gets to step foot on an NFL field, he's definitely not the guy to call offensive plays for any team in the National Football League. And what do? You hire him as an offensive coordinator. Things aren't working out for him as an offensive coordinator and after his first 4 games with this organization. The offense is averaging 262 yards of offense, passing and rushing combined in a game. That ranks 32nd, dead last in total offenses in the National Football League. This is not looking good. And the icing on the cake for Matt Rhule, he's lost the locker room. And we all know, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when you lose an NFL locker room, when you're accountable for a 52, 53-man roster, and you don't have anybody that believes in what you're saying, you don't believe in anybody that you just don't believe in your leader, it's just not going to work out. And he's lost the locker room. And I don't believe he's going to stay much longer. I think he has 2, maybe 3 weeks left for his stint in Carolina. Matt Rhule and the Carolina Panthers' next 3 opponents, they're going to play the San Francisco 49ers at home. They're going to go on the road to Los Angeles to play the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams. And they're going to play at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So most likely they will be 1-6 in the next 3 weeks. And Matt Rhule has to be gone if they find themselves at 1-6. And I feel like he's going to find himself back in college football, he will be back in college football by this time next year. So moving on to the next segment for you guys, 2 out of 2 segments in one video, I will be discussing that the Pittsburgh Steelers make the right move, the right choice to move on with Kenny Pickett as their quarterback one of this franchise. And I believe they did. I believe that Kenny Pickett, I've obviously said it in an episode weeks ago before the NFL season started, that Kenny Pickett should have been the quarterback 1 from the get-go for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into week 1 when they played on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. Despite the fact they won that game, I still believe that they could have won the game with Kenny Pickett at the quarterback position, because the game was not won offensively. It was won on the defensive side of the ball. The defensive line caused havoc against that Bengals offensive line and had Joe Burrow under duress, stressed the whole entire game and couldn't get going. The reason why they won that game was because of the defensive side of the ball. And I think they still could have won that game with Kenny Pickett at the helm at the quarterback position. And this team, as talented they are on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, this team should not be 1-3 at the moment. They've lost 3 straight in a row. They have been, their last 3 opponents, they are really, I believe they are better and more talented than the 3 organizations, the 3 teams that they played over the last 3 weeks. When you talk about the New England Patriots, they're definitely a better team than New England Patriots. Lost that game at home. They lost on the road that Thursday night game against the Cleveland Browns. I believe they are a better team than the Cleveland Browns. And then they blew that game at home when they played against the New York Jets last week. Unacceptable that this team is 1-3, and Mike Tomlin has to be sick to his stomach that he finds his team at 1-3 at the moment. Mr. Trubisky, and I think Mike Tomlin made the right decision to move on with Kenny Pickett at the quarterback position. And you guys might be saying, well, what if Kenny Pickett's not ready? What if Kenny Pickett produces worse than what Mitchell Trubisky did at the quarterback position, only being a rookie from Pittsburgh? Well, Mitchell Trubisky did not set the world on fire being the quarterback 1 of this franchise for the first 4 weeks of football. He has not played well in the 3.5 games that he played. Obviously, you guys know he got benched in the second half of that game against the New York Jets. In his first 3.5 starts in the season, he had 653 passing yards. That's ranked 29th out of 32 of NFL starting quarterbacks in the league. 2 passing touchdowns, not really setting the world on fire there. 2 interceptions, and has a QBR of 36.9. That's ranked 24th in the league amongst starting quarterbacks. So Mitchell Trubisky was not setting the world on fire. You might say it's better. Some of you guys might say it's better for the Pittsburgh Steelers to roll with a veteran guy, but he's not bringing any flavor to this offense that is more than capable of putting up more points than what they have produced on any given Sunday Monday or Thursday that this team steps on the field. And the Steelers offense was being held back, and I think they will find new life with Kenny Pickett at the quarterback position. You had wide receivers like Chase Claypool, George Pickens, and Deontay Johnson, all frustrated that they weren't receiving the ball as much as they thought they were going to with Mitchell Trubisky at the quarterback position. You start the rookie and Kenny Pickett, he brings new life to this Pittsburgh offense. And in the second half that Kenny Pickett got the start, he found himself down 10-6 at halftime, came in the game. Despite throwing 3 interceptions, he is a rookie. Rookies do make mistakes. We've seen Peyton Manning throwing several interceptions during his rookie season. We've seen Trevor Lawrence throwing several interceptions during his rookie season. Am I saying he's going to be on the level of those guys? No. But I'm saying rookies are bound to make mistakes in their first year, especially Kenny Pickett, who didn't think he was going to get into that game in the second half of that game against the New York Jets on Sunday. Despite throwing 3 interceptions, he did help the Steelers compete in the second half. The score was 10-6, like I just said a few moments ago. He did manage to score 2 rushing touchdowns in that game, and the Pittsburgh Steelers only lost by a field goal in that game. Again, another game that they shouldn't have lost. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will be fine moving forward. And I think Kenny Pickett is the guy that takes the next step in his career, in his young career, and make sure that the Pittsburgh Steelers compete in every single game moving forward. The offense is great. They got to get Najee Harris going running the ball. The offensive line has to be better. You have a quarterback now who mainly if you decide to, can do RPO plays. He can make plays with his arm, make plays with his leg. You got Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens at the wide receiver position. You have a talented defense that you spend a lot of money on, despite the fact that TJ Watt is not healthy at the moment. This defense can still thrive without him, and they can win games without their defensive leader in TJ Watt. So I think this is the best move for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. And I did say weeks ago that I did believe that Kenny Pickett would be getting his time in as a starting quarterback around this time, around week 4, week 5. I thought Mike Tomlin would go ahead and change things up at the quarterback position if the Pittsburgh Steelers start off slow. Now they find themselves in 1-3, and we will see what Kenny Pickett could do moving forward. And I still believe there is a chance for him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I think that was my prediction before the season started. I believe he has a real true chance to do it in this offense. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers made a great decision moving forward, and I'm excited to see what Kenny Pickett could do at this point of the season, being the quarterback one of this franchise moving forward. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Irie, signing off, and I'll see you guys on next week's episode.